Good morning and welcome, everyone. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start, so as the people just come in on the left-hand side, my left-hand side, please take a seat, and we are about to start. If I could just have your attention just for a moment and a little bit of silence, that would be appreciated. And the lights go down. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 18th edition of the European Space Conference. It is wonderful to have you all here. Safe to say it's a little bit cold outside, but I'm very confident with all of the conversations, the connections, and the ideas that are about to be shared over these next couple of days, things will warm up very, very quickly. And you will be hearing a diverse range of speakers, from commissioners, from representatives of the European institutions, from governments, agencies, and organizations representing the public and private sectors. Now, it's this diversity of perspectives that lends itself to the value and quality of depth of this conference. Now, over the next 2 days, this conference will unfold over 3 spaces. Right here in the Gold Hall, next door in the Silver Hall, where things kick off at 9:40, and then downstairs at the Agora. Now, I recommend that you also download the event app and keep the program close to you so that you can follow what is happening throughout the next 2 days and where events are taking place. Now, also to keep in mind for this morning, as we have so much to get through, wonderful conversations right here on this stage. For those of you that need a caffeine break, there is a permanent coffee break just outside in the networking areas. And with that said, I'd like to officially welcome and open this conference by inviting Thomas Dimitrov, the Deputy Executive Director of Logos and Business Bridge Europe. Thomas, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, good morning and welcome to the 18th European Space Conference. It's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today representing a team fully devoted to building and sustaining this unique platform for debates, exchanges, and networking within the European space community. At a time when fundamentals are shifting before our very eyes, we are reminded of the importance of European unity and collective strength. The European space sector underpins our sovereignty, our security, and our competitiveness. In many ways, it reflects Europe's resolve and ambition on the global stage. That is precisely why this conference remains so special. For almost two decades, it has been unapologetically European. It mirrors the state of the European space sector in all its dimensions, celebrating remarkable achievements and also confronting challenges openly and honestly. The European Space Conference has been evolving since 2008, thanks only to the unwavering support of the European Commission, the European Space Agency, the European governments, and the European industry. Your ambition in space, your belief in Europe, and your commitment to open and stimulating discussions are the foundations on which the conference stands. Now, I have some good news to share. For 18 years, we have gathered here once a year. And once again, it's inspiring to welcome nearly 2,000 delegates and 180 high-level speakers over the next 2 days. But starting this spring, we're taking the next step. We'll be launching the European Space Conference Hub. With this new platform, we'll stay connected throughout the year, with smaller, more intimate thematic events, podcasts featuring key figures shaping European space policy, interviews, and analysis. The aim is simple: to keep this community connected, informed, and in continuous conversations. Not just for the 2 days a year, but all around the year. Before we begin our discussions, I would like to warmly thank our first keynotes who open our debates today. Commissioner Kubilius, Deputy Minister Damiano, ESA's Director General Joseph Aschbacher, and Marco Fuchs, President of the ISD Eurospace. Commissioner Kubilius, now the floor is yours.
We are ready to go. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, really I'm very happy to address you again today, 1 year on in my mandate. And what a year it was. I would say a year of achievements, but also a year of profound geopolitical changes. Last year, we identified a path towards Defense Readiness 2030, which also includes space. A year of transformation. Europe seeks its strategic autonomy and independence now more than ever, because our world has radically changed. I was in Davos last week. All leaders underlined this change and the need for de-risking our economies and diversifying our supply chains, especially in those sectors vital for our independence. And this certainly is true for defense and space. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the turbulences, space is bouncing back stronger. Last year was a year of continuous delivery. To start with, I have a very important announcement on satellite connectivity. Last week, we started GovSatcom operations. That means all member states can now have access to sovereign satellite communication, military and government, secure and encrypted, built in Europe, operated in Europe, under European control. This is only the first step in satellite connectivity. Second step, in 2027, expanding coverage, expanding bandwidth to cover the entire world, buying this new capacity from commercial partners with extra security. And step 3, IRIS². Also, last week, the great news that the IRIS² military frequencies have been brought into use, allowing the governmental services. A very important event, showing the progress of IRIS² and the value of the public-private partnership model, allowing use of existing satellites of our private partners. I have asked all partners to step up and speed up on IRIS², and I am confident we can already deploy initial services by 2029. The goal, connectivity and sovereignty for all of Europe, guaranteed access for all member states under full European control. What is not new, Europe already delivers on Defense Readiness 2030 with the best satellite navigation system in the world. This year marks 10 years since we announced the initial operations of Galileo services. And I can now confirm that we are fully operational and expanding to new services critical for our security and defense. Last year, we started a new authentication service of navigation signal, the OSNMA service, that better protects against spoofing. And in the coming weeks, we look forward to the initial service of the Galileo Public Regulated Service, PRS, encrypted and secure navigation. A robust, autonomous and European system our soldiers can rely on. These services need and use a state-of-the-art constellation. Just before Christmas, we launched another 2 satellites to replenish it. And we are working full speed for the next generation of satellites. Also vital for security is Copernicus observation, also in the Arctic and Greenland. Last year was also very important for Copernicus. Sentinel-1D to monitor ground motion, land and sea. Sentinels 4A and 5A to monitor air quality. And Sentinel-6B for precise sea surface height measurements. All of this is only possible thanks to our renewed access to space, stronger day by day, with many successful launches last year, with Vega C and Ariane 6, ramping up their cadence smoothly and impeccably. And more is to come, which I will discuss shortly. European independence also means size, scale, and competitiveness. This is what space package I presented last year is all about, with a proposal for an EU Space Act, setting the foundations for responsible use of space, for an EU space single market, and for trade with like-minded partners based on reciprocity. And a vision for me, and a vision for the European space economy addressing both manufacturing and services. For the space sector and for the numerous other market sectors of our economy that use space every day. For the benefits of space on Earth, but also for the next steps of the space race in the orbital economy. An unprecedented ambition for the next multi-annual EU budget, the MFF. We proposed a five-fold increase in the European Union budget for defense and space, strongly supported by the European Parliament and industry. 131 billion euro for defense and space. And I want a lot of that to go to space. And I know that you want also. So make your voice heard. Support our ambitious proposal. And it's a very good sign that ESA Ministerial Council approved a record 22.3 billion until the next MFF. Congratulations, Joseph, on this result. It shows member states have the ambition, and we need to make sure the ambition stays strong. I do want to share one concern. Member states fear that possibility of war is not far away, that war can come. That is why national and EU defense spending is increasing very rapidly, with investments into different modern defense systems, including strategic enablers and space services for defense. And in those circumstances, some countries want to build, and they are starting to build, their own national capacities in space. Time is of the essence. Capabilities are needed now, not in 5 or 10 years' time. That's understandable. From one side, it's really good. We individually are becoming stronger in space, but on the other hand, we risk also becoming more fragmented. The focus should be on how to make us stronger as Europe. That is why we need interoperability by design, so sovereign systems can work together if sovereign states so decide. No single member state is stronger than Russia. If you protect only your own country, your own army, we shall not learn to fight as Europe. We will not deter Putin. We will not succeed in our defense. Only unity can deter Putin and defend the European Union. So we are progressing, we are proud, but we do not rest. Our economy, our security, our autonomy depend on it. We must step up the pace in space. And I see 3 priorities. First, after decades of European space cooperation, we're ready for the next frontier, space for defense and defense of space. Announced in our Defense Readiness Roadmap 2030, the European Space Defense Shield. Space will also play a decisive role in other defense readiness flagships, the Eastern Flank Watch, the Drone Defense Initiative, the Air Defense Shield, notably for the early warning component. The Commission will present a plan for the Space Shield later this year, pooling and sharing national capacities next to dedicated European capacities, including GovSatcom, Galileo, PRS, and IRIS², and also the Earth Observation Governmental Service, which will be a game changer in the longer run, allowing faster and more precise observation for security and defense. And LEO PNT, low orbit system positioning, navigation and timing, essential for military movement, precision weapons, and civil protection. Much faster, more resilient to spoofing and jamming. The Space Shield will also protect space against radio frequency interference, and with independent European space surveillance and tracking, EU SST. Now in this area, we depend on the United States. Member states now need to ask permission to share data on threats, and this is an obstacle to our security, an obstacle to our independence in space. Also, for an effective space shield, we need to think of dedicated actors, a partnership of space commands. Why do we need this? Now, if there is a crisis, if there is a war, national space commands can quickly mobilize space assets for national defense. But there is no process for mobilizing European assets for our joint defense. It's not clear who does what. I see this partnership as a cooperation framework, a virtual space command. So all member states can use our space assets in times of crisis or war. Second essential priority, space transportation. We need to take our launch capacity to the next level. Soon we can expect the first flight of the Ariane 6-4 configuration, a rocket with not 2 boosters, but 4, that can lift 20 tons into space, more than double of today. And we're looking forward to the first flights of numerous emerging players in space transportation. We need more than powerful rockets alone. We need the ability to reuse, respond, and return. Launches that can be used again and again and again. Quick launch response to replace or repair satellites damaged or destroyed by accidents or enemy action. And return. Get cargo to space and from space on Earth. This is why we need launching a top priority in the next MFF. We are working on a vision for access to space with ESA and member states. With such transportation, one day, Europe should be capable of putting European boots on the moon. And why not? Third, European independence in space is not only about security and defense. Above all, we need a strong, competitive industrial base. And we need to attract talented people to build and operate satellites and deliver space services. But also to bring space to the ground. For example, to develop user terminals, so cars, planes, and ships can use space to move around. And we introduced the CHIPS Act and Critical Raw Materials Act and the Cybersecurity Act, and other measures to protect supply lines, including for space. Because Europe can no longer afford to be dependent on others for critical technologies, raw materials, or supply chains. So I thank and congratulate everyone. Also, all the great and talented scientists, engineers, and companies who made this year so rich in achievements. This is your success. This is European success. Finally, one key lesson I learned in this first year of being Space Commissioner. Space is an inspiration. Space technology is an inspiration. And how we work together in Europe on space is an inspiration also. Galileo, Copernicus, Iris Square. These are for engineering and innovation, what the euro is for currency and Schengen for free movement. Projects that benefit an entire continent that no member state can build alone. So, be proud. Our defense can learn much from space. The whole of Europe can learn much from space. Space is an inspiration. And you are an inspiration. Thank you very much.